How many of you have walked into a conversation? Let's just use a performance review as an example. I'm going to go talk to so and so about her behavior. I'm going to go talk to so and so about this behavior, Michelle. And you go in and you're like, all right, Michelle, I need to talk to you about this. You have the conversation, you walk out and you're like, wait, what just happened? Because I just agreed to 3 more weeks of PTO for Michelle. She threw 2 of her colleagues under the bus. Now I have to go have conversations with them. She got me to sign her up for like 3 month-long professional development training, and like I'm driving her kids to soccer tomorrow. Right? Like we go into these conversations thinking it's going to be about one thing, and all of a sudden we leave and we're like, wait a second, like I'm completely confused and I have no idea what happened. Like that's not how I thought it was going to go. So I'm seeing some head nods. So these are the kind of, I think, the normal things that can go wrong in these situations. And again, I appreciate you guys sharing in the beginning because you touched on it, right? Like when you gave yourself the lower numbers, this is some of the things that happen. So what I want to share now, and I have 3 buckets, and I would love for you, if you guys have something else, please, I will pause after this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But when we think about why this happens, I have 3 different buckets here. So one is we have lots to say. Second is there's dynamics at play. And then the third one is emotions make us stray. I like a rhyme as much as that lady liked an acronym. So here's my first one, the rhyme. The rhyme, and we have lots to say. So a few of you mentioned this already, that when we go into meetings or when we go into conversations, there's a tendency to want to share everything that we know. And I think this comes from a few different places, but we want to be seen as an expert, right? We want to say like, hey, I know my stuff. We probably all do know a lot of stuff. So we want to share that. We want to let people know that we have this knowledge and that we have this experience. But what happens is when we share everything that we know, when we top load our agendas, our presentation, curriculum, people get overwhelmed. And what we need to realize is less is more. And I learn this every time I do a presentation, every time I do a workshop. I'm like, Erin, cut 1/3 of it. And I think what we need to realize is that, and again, with that acronym lady, it was frustrating because I think she did know a lot, but I didn't take anything from it. And a lot of times we'll hear people be like, I'm going to fire hose you with information. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't, right? Like life is overwhelming enough. I don't need you to fire hose me. So when we think about this lots to say, I want you to think about less is more. And if you have one thing to say and then help people create a conversation around it, ask some questions, get their thoughts on things, it's going to be more impactful than you sharing everything you know. And again, as someone that can get going and can do tangents, I have also learned in these types of scenarios that I will get succinct. I will do my framework, my do, think, feel, and I'll have my snippet that I'm going to say, and then I've gotten in the habit of pausing and saying, is there anything I can clarify? Would you like to hear more? Right? And then they're like, yes, please. And then I can give them more. But we kind of turn off, like we drip out a little bit and then let them tell us, yes, we want some more information. So lots to say comes from us, I think, wanting to share our knowledge and share our experience. The next one is the dynamics that are at play. You're going to talk to your senior leaders in a different way than you're going to talk to your clients or your customers, in a different way that you're going to talk to your team. So we need to think about, in these conversations, the context of who we're talking to. And they're going to want, each of those different groups are going to want to hear different things, and they're going to want to hear them in a different way. So as we're preparing our conversations or our presentations, we need to be thinking about, what are the senior leaders hearing and seeing? What are the clients hearing and seeing? What's the team hearing and seeing? We need to really tap into our empathy to think about those things and to speak to those dynamics. The other dynamic is that again, projecting, but also I feel like it's true, in any work environment, there's going to be politics, right? There's going to be different hierarchy and seniority. And so we need to take those dynamics into consideration when we are having these conversations. And we also need to think about the market, right? Like if there's things happening in the market, we need to become aware of those dynamics for thinking about what we're going to say and how we're going to say it. And finally, when it comes to the dynamics, our reputations are on our line, right? And I think people are always they're always watching and people are paying attention. And this is the whole point of being leaders and wanting to create impact. We have to think about what people are picking up, right? Are people picking up what we want them to when we're putting stuff out there? So when we think about the dynamics, how do we show up and how is that going to affect our reputation? And then the third reason why I think these conversations go a little bit sideways is that this is when we get into the emotions make us stray. And if there are, I feel like you guys are just already reading my mind with this, right? Like if we go in and if it's a tense situation or a hard conversation with a client or a hard conversation with an employee, we go in and we're carrying a lot of emotion. We have a lot of emotion. Or in the conversation, if things go sideways, our emotions can get tweaked and we might not handle things how we want to handle them. So this comes to the fact that we are emotional beings and it's that awareness. And so how in these conversations, if things go sideways or if emotion comes up, how do we stay grounded? How do we pause and stay in the moment without overreacting?